The Associated Press NFL Comeback Player of the Year award tends to be my favorite award in pro football. The winner of said award usually has a pretty interesting story, like the most recent winner, Geno Smith. Geno is an example of someone who won the award because he came back from poor performances early in his career. The most common reason a player wins the award is performing well the season after a season-ending injury, like when Joe Burrow won it in 2021 after his 2020 season ended when he tore up his knee. Aside from coming back from poor performance and/or injuries, extenuating circumstances can lead to a Comeback Player of the Year award. Examples being Eric Berry, who won it in 2015 after winning a battle with cancer in the offseason, and the 2010 winner Michael Vick won it because he was technically not a member of society for a little bit. Oh, and just an aside, an example I'm a fan of, rookie LeGarrette Blount didn't win it, but he did get one vote for the award in 2010. What was this rookie coming back from exactly? Being suspended for the remainder of his college career for punching a Boise State player after a game. Fun fact for you. Also, I'd like to note, there was a player who won it twice in a span of 3 seasons. That player being good old Chad Pennington, who won it in 2006 with the Jets, and in 2008 with the Dolphins. And that's how injury-prone, yet talented, Chad Pennington was. The Associated Press Comeback Player of the Year award was given from 1963 to 1966, but from 1967 to 1997 it wasn't given for whatever reason. I couldn't exactly figure out why that is. I made a Reddit post asking people if they had any answers, but for some reason the moderators weren't fans of the post and removed it. I guess there's like a conspiracy or something. Though the Pro Football Writers of America had their own Comeback Player of the Year award, the AP one would come back in 1998, just in time for Randall Cunningham's spectacular comeback season. Randall Cunningham is perhaps the most athletically gifted player to ever play the quarterback position. He defined the dual threat label. He killed defenses with his arm and made defenders into fools with his legs. He played quarterback so gracefully. Just take a look at this play. Look at that. Dangerous situation in his own end zone. He ducks under the Hall of Famer Bruce Smith, rolls out, throws a beautiful pass, and it's complete. And you know what? Fred Barnett makes a great play over there catching that ball. Underrated part of that play. Give credit to Fred Barnett for catching that pass. Great play. Randall Cunningham put fans in awe for several seasons with his jaw-dropping athleticism, but he fell off hard and fast. After coming off a fantastic 1990 season, he tore his ACL in the first game of the 1991 season and missed the entire year. Randall would eventually come back in 1992, having a solid season, but the injury seemed to have an effect on his athleticism. He lost some speed. He had some more nagging injuries from 1993 to 1995, and he also struggled learning the West Coast offense, which the Eagles coaching staff tried to implement after his ACL tear, which led to him being benched in favor of veteran quarterback Rodney Peete due to poor performance. His last game as an Eagle was a total disaster. It was the divisional playoff game, and he was severely unprepared when he was forced to go into the game after Rodney Peete got injured, which led to an unceremonious ending to his tenure with the Eagles. After the 1995 season, Randall was unwilling to accept the role of a backup quarterback, and his passion for the game began to wane. Along with other issues, this all culminated in Randall Cunningham retiring at just 32 years old. The years of 1991 to 1995 were a disaster in Randall Cunningham's football journey. In those years, he suffered injuries and poor performances. Two of the most common things Comeback Player of the Year award winners bounce back from. Randall spent the year 1996 doing some self-reflection, and he actually did real blue-collar work. He had a granite business and would do manual labor on his path of self-reflection. Despite making millions in both football and endorsements, Randall Cunningham decided to do real hard work. Pretty cool if you ask me. He participated in an alumni flag football game during the weekend festivities of Super Bowl 31, where he would get into contact with Vikings head coach Dennis Green, where he would eventually return to the NFL as a backup quarterback. After his year off from football, Randall Cunningham had emotionally matured, and he gladly took on the role of a backup quarterback. He led the Vikings to a comeback win in the 1997 wildcard game against the Giants, but in 1998, he would have a comeback season for the ages. Randall entered the 1998 season as the backup quarterback to Brad Johnson, who started the first 2 games for the Vikings, but in the second game, he was taken out due to a sprained ankle, and in stepped Randall Cunningham, where the greatest comeback season of all time would begin. This season was insane. This team was stacked. Randall Cunningham had 2 future Hall of Fame wide receivers to throw to. Randall rekindled his connection with former Eagles teammate Chris Carter, and he would develop an immediate connection with rookie phenom Randy Moss. Cunningham had the arm strength to get it to Randy Moss, who proved to be one of the greatest deep ball receivers of all time in his very first season. Cunningham and Moss connected on 15 touchdown passes, 9 of which were from 40+ yards. That is insane. Randall Cunningham ended the 1998 season with 34 touchdowns and over 3,700 yards, with an average of 247 yards per game, and a league-leading passer rating of 106. He was named first-team All-Pro while leading the Vikings to a 13-1 record in his 14 starts. The 98 Vikings were the most prolific offense in NFL history. At the time, they were the highest-scoring offense of all time. They still ranked number 6 in most points scored in a season, which is impressive given how much offensive scoring has risen since 1998. Randall Cunningham proved he was able to be effective without the insane athleticism he possessed early in his career. He placed second in MVP voting, as he was edged by running back Terrell Davis, who had an insane season in his own right. Do you want to know what other award he placed second in that year? The Comeback Player of the Year award. Let me repeat that. In 1998, Randall Cunningham had for my money the greatest comeback season of all time. He came back from devastating injuries that derailed his athleticism, demoralizing poor performances that proved doubters who said he would never succeed as a pocket passer right, and an ugly exit from the game where he was written off by everyone. And his insane comeback season was not rewarded with the Comeback Player of the Year award. Now, who ended up winning the award that year? Buffalo Bills quarterback Doug Flutie. Okay, Doug Flutie had a great comeback season. He was a phenom at Boston College, where he won the Heisman in 1984 and was drafted late in the 1985 draft and played 4 seasons with the Bears and Patriots, but was written off for being too small at 5 feet 10 inches. He then played 8 seasons in the Canadian Football League with the BC Lions, Calgary Stampede, and Toronto Argonauts. In those 8 seasons, he basically rewrote the CFL record books, and to this day it's considered one of the greatest quarterbacks in Canadian football history. A personnel guy for the Bills told the franchise, "Hey, this guy Doug Flutie playing up in Toronto is pretty damn good." And the Bills were like, "What the hell, we'll sign him as a backup," thus causing Doug Flutie to return to the NFL at 36 years old. Flutie eventually became the starter and led the Bills to the playoffs and put up solid numbers. It was a fine comeback season. In most other years, Doug Flutie would have deserved it, but by no means did he deserve the award over Randall Cunningham in 1998. But apparently the voters thought so, because Flutie received 23 votes to Randall's 11. Not even close. Those 11 voters that voted for Randall, they know ball. And those 23 voters who voted for Flutie, they do not know ball. Did Randall at least win the Pro Football Writers of America Comeback Player of the Year award? No, they also gave it to Flutie. Come on, PFWA. This has to be one of the biggest award snubs in NFL history. Along with Darrelle Revis not winning Defensive Player of the Year in 2009, which you can learn more about by watching my video on the 2009 Jets, and John Elway winning the MVP over Jerry Rice in 1987, which you could also learn more about by checking out a video I made on it. Yeah, clearly I'm passionate for award snubs. Also, check out my channel if you haven't. Anyways, how did that 1998 season end for Randall Cunningham and the Vikings? Well, I think we all know what happened. In the NFC Championship game against the Falcons, one of the biggest announcer jinxes of all time happened.
And Anderson hasn't missed in 2 years.
That's a pretty good bet if you say, do you think Gary Anderson will make this field goal? The answer should probably be yes.
39 yards away, and it's not good.
This was an all-time devastating loss, but Randall wasn't too torn up about it. He credits his year off from football in 1996 as allowing him to see the bigger picture and appreciate the fact he was able to enjoy that incredible season to begin with. The Super Bowl was just not meant to be that year. You know, I'm sure I care way more about this award snub than Randall Cunningham himself. Actually, I'm positive about that. After 1998, Randall wouldn't do much more in his career, but this season proved just how incredible a talent Randall Cunningham was. I'll leave you with this. If Randall Cunningham was drafted in the 2010s, he would be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. That's how talented he was.
First and 10 at midfield. Play action.